This meeting is being recorded.
All right, cool. All right, so hi everyone again. This is Jason with Spohn Ranch. If it says Kirsten Dermer over my name, that is our CEO and who set up our company Zoom account. So sorry if that threw anyone off, but same guy you guys all chatted with last time, and Tim and Matt, who I met with out on site. So I am going to start by sharing my screen here and bringing up the design. All right, can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So obviously everything should look pretty familiar here. The biggest, most glaring, obvious change is the pump track. But let me pull this into 3D, and we'll kind of talk about some of the things that we did from the last go around. So last go around, we never got any feedback on basically this side of the park. It's kind of your textbook street stuff, some handrails, some king tub ledges. So you got down hubbas and you got bump to ledge. We got quarter pipes with bank extension. So it's kind of your basic street stuff. No one gave any comments, so we basically just left it exactly the same. And then kind of coming down into as we're getting into the main part of the skate park, added a little Euro gap there to kind of just bring a new feature in. Here's our stairs, handrail. We have it's a little hard to see it, but we have a pole jam off this mani pad. So you could skate this as a Euro, a step up gap. You could skate it through a pole jam. So just kind of a little different, new, unique flavor. And then this was one of the other features I was kind of most excited about that we looked at last time, was basically this. And it's not like last time, we still haven't fully modeled this to how it's going to wind up being. So if it looks a little weird, don't sweat it. But the whole idea here is basically a bank attached to this bank that's going to have a slappy curve that wraps up around it, so you can skate going down and you can also skate going up. So now as we get into kind of the meat and potatoes of the skate park, one of the thoughts was to try and figure out how to make a little bit more sense out of the manual pad A-frame feature that we had there. So what we did was we basically built this A-frame and wound up attaching it to the hip. And what was kind of cool is it starts to provide some unique options. Obviously, you have your A-frame to the hubba and to the rail going both ways. We put this little cow catcher. This isn't supposed to be a hip. It's kind of like a mini hip, so it just bumps you up to the rail, so you can skating the rail from both sides. But what I really liked about the hip feature here is here's kind of your big proper hip, come flip trick over the deck. Plenty of room to cut out of there with the hubba there. But now you also have these kind of unique angles where you can go from this bank to get to either side of the hubba ledge, depending on which way you're coming from. So I thought that was kind of a cool addition that the team came up with. We kept the standard flat bar and ledge in here because in our opinion, every good skate park should have one. The one comment that we didn't pick up that we got last time was someone had suggested putting a quarter pipe over here to kind of keep some flow going. But the one thing me and my design team were looking at was this is kind of the only real slow part of the whole park. Everything is, you can drop it on this quarter pipe, bump to ledge, down the bank, over the hip. And this is your only area where it's not going to be people going 100 miles an hour. And I think that's really important to have in a skate park, especially when you have younger kids that are just getting used to rolling up a quarter pipe and rolling back down it, or going down a bank, or trying the small kind of the stair set. So I think that was the one comment we didn't pick up. We just felt like it was probably best to leave that kind of as is, and give the park a little bit of an area where people wouldn't be going 100 miles an hour trying to connect lines. And then last but not least, I think the vast majority of our comments centered around the bowl, and I kind of think everything that was given to us made this bowl a lot better than what it was. So you guys remember this actually was an opening here where you had a roll in, like a 1 foot roll in. Now I'm not talking about a roll in off the top deck. So we got rid of that, completely enclosed the entire bowl, brought this little pocket in here, which is kind of fun. And then we started to play with, we talked about what we can do in terms of going in ground, given the site that we're working with, right? So we have a,
Hey,
we
hey,
want,
Jason, sorry to interrupt. It seems, can you let some people into the meeting?
oh yeah, so hold on. Yeah, it doesn't show, if anyone else pops up, I can't see it while I'm on the share screen mode. So yeah, if anything else pops up, just let me know. Hey, Matt, you there?
I am here. Thank you.
All right. So Matt, I was just kind of walking through basically all the changes that had been given to us and what we made. And basically, like I was saying before, we've made every change that was requested of us. And there was just one that we didn't, and that was adding a quarter pipe right here, just because I was explaining this is kind of the slower zone in the park that people can kind of gather themselves, take a break, where the rest of the park, everyone's pretty much connecting, the rest of everything is pretty much connecting different lines. So we were talking about the bowl, and that would kind of been, I think, the crux of the conversation that we had on the last call. And so this was open, we closed this off. We started to play with the heights. We brought a little extension here to get up to that 8-foot height that I think Clint was pushing for, and I totally agree with. I think not taking the whole bowl and making it 8 foot, I think is awesome. I think having that like kind of little clam pocket helps make the rest of the bowl a bit more digestible for your average kind of everyday skater. And is there a comment?
I was just going to say, yeah, I think it makes sense. And I wasn't sure whether not that I know about this stuff that much, but I wasn't sure whether it should be like sealed off like that or not, but everyone was worried about it. And now I'm looking at it, I think it does make sense, because that can be like, people can really go for it in there and not worry about hitting the little kids and stuff. And I see you're thinking about adding, I had never heard of a pump track before, but after last meeting, I looked into it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I see that you're thinking about that too, huh?
Yeah, so kind of the way that we left off the call last time was basically everyone was saying, hey, if we want, the big thing with this park, and all parks, public parks should be this way, is all inclusive. So it's all skill levels, all wheels, all abilities, right? And someone had brought up the idea of a pump track, and I'm a huge proponent of these things. I think when they're done right, they're one of the better assets that can be created. And when I say done right, I don't just mean how it's designed and built. There's people out there that will just, they'll happily sell you a quick little ring of a pump track and tell you that that's not only your pump track, it's your skate park, it's everything that your city's ever going to need. And when you just go around in circles 100 times, it gets boring pretty quick. But when you have it attached, like where we have here, we have it attached to a facility with a whole bunch more going on. There's tons of opportunities there's tons of different opportunities to make this thing successful. So I think the pump track ad was a great option here. We talked about kind of doing it because this was something that we thought could potentially go above and beyond the budget of what we've been discussing thus far. But at the same time, we've also had the conversation where you guys have a pretty amazing community in terms of people that are willing to give in kind and financial donations. And so I think right now the idea is the pump track, we're kind of looking at it as a bit of an ad alternate. And if the budget's available, great. I mean, we could also look at, chopping something else out if everyone decides they love the pump track, or finding a different way to integrate it. And there's things we can do to play with it. But for right now, I think this gives us a pretty solid base where we can start figuring out exactly where we're sitting from a budget perspective, and give you guys a bit of an idea as to what you need to do in order to, whether it's in-kind donations of materials or obviously financial donations are always a big help. How the city plans on funding it, but this will at least kind of start to set us up. And then I think as we move forward, we can start, and we know what our pricing is. As a group, we can kind of make the decision on, all right, we can take this out and add this in, or we can keep the pump track if we get rid of X, Y, and Z, or you guys might all tell me you hate the pump track, and that's totally fine too. So that's kind of the state of the state in terms of like where we're at from the last go around. And I'm just going to quickly stop the share screen just to see. Yeah, I do have another guy, Shane, I'm going to admit in here, and then I'll go back to doing the share screen.
Hey, Jason, this is Tim. So I have a question about the add alt pump track. It actually sounds very interesting. My question though is, so the footprint of what we looked at last time, is that effectively what we're looking at now, and then the pump track goes around it, or is the pump track, like how much larger did we just make the footprint with this add alt?
So it looks like it's probably a lot larger than the last design you looked at, but what wasn't shown in the last design and what's not shown in this design are the structural berms that are required to support, because this bowl is, as you can see, everything is we're going up here, right? So even though you see the pump track now, and the pump track itself is only 6 feet wide, we see the way that this is laid out, we have grass berms coming off the back of the deck here that are going to slope down. So the reason the pump track is as spaced out as it is because of the fact that we have those berms there. So when you think about it, if we didn't add if without the pump track, you'd still have all those berms, you'd still have this much larger footprint. But now by adding the pump track, we're really only adding 12 feet of width. We're only really adding what the width of the track is on both sides, because that berming would already be coming down anyway, no matter what.
Do you need berms on the outside of the pump track though too?
There's things we can do to kind of mitigate those, because we can do turn down walls. There's a lot of different options there. The pump track bumps are only go up. They vary, but there's 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. Where we're looking at here, we're basically doing like a 5-to-1, a 3-to-1 slope on like a 5 foot tall deck here. So your footprint for your berm on the bowl is pretty big, where on the pump track it's smaller, and there's ways to kind of reduce it and mitigate it. If this overall looks like, and what we'll do is I will get this cited as is. I'll send you guys the file, show you where it's at, and if it's, hey, we think this is going to take up too much space, there's a bunch of other options I have for working a pump track in, maybe not as big, but definitely something a bit of a smaller scale that will not take up such a big footprint.
Have you done this before, where you integrate a pump track into like a street park like that? Because I didn't see any examples of that. It's kind of a cool idea.
Oh yeah, no, the pump track is kind of like, all the credit in the world to the bikers out there, because they're the ones who kind of really brought this pump track thing forward, and they were all dirt for a while, and they became asphalt, and they became concrete. Now everyone's skating them. So it's definitely in the grand scheme of things of skate park and wheel friendly world, it's a kind of a newer concept. We're starting to see a lot more demand for these all over the place. So the vast majority of the projects we're getting involved with now are generally having one of these come in or be a part of the project, just because they're so user friendly. And it's the perfect amenity that's going to accommodate all wheels and all skill levels.
What's Clint think?
I think it looks pretty cool, man. I have a couple ideas, or like just all the straight rollers. I feel like there could be a little variety in there. Like,
Totally.
there's this one company called CK Contractors out of the UK, and they specialize in pump tracks, and they have some really, if you look them up, they have really awesome pump track designs, and just stuff where there's a little more variety in there instead of like there's like roller.
And
so
so
like,
Clint, real quick, if I was to model this up how I want it to be, it would take like a week of just modeling for me to get here, for you guys to tell me, hey, that doesn't work, take it out. And then I've spent 10 grand just in modeling. So we do these generic bumps, and then when we go to CDs is when we'll do the more complex modeling. And generally the way that we actually do all our pump tracks, probably pretty similar to what you do. And I know the dirt ones you guys are doing, obviously you're riding, but we're building this all out of millings or dirt. And then we're actually having our guys ride it on a bike to feel it out before we put any.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, and that's probably something we would even wind up tapping, you for. You've obviously you got a few skills on the bike. So
that would be awesome to help out with that part. We have our, that's like what we do. So if we could help in any way to help make that happen.
No, totally. I
make
think
the best park we can. So.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some options there. And then one of the other options, one of the other things I really want to explore, if you guys are into the pump track, would be to make this more dynamic. I mean, we've got this big wall here. I think we could probably lay this up like a really big bank or something.
Yeah.
Like something rad. Like this, again, a lot of this is just modeling to make sure you guys are into it, and then we can get kind of cool. But this is where I'm seeing like a really rad opportunity to do something where you could even give, like, if you're like flowing around this and be able to pop out of the pump track and into the bowl, kind of sick.
Yeah, that would be sweet for sure.
Yeah, so those are all things when we get to the CD level and we get pricing and everything figured out, we'll definitely get more creative. And you know, modeling in here in the skate park, this stuff's easy. It's the pump track that becomes a real pain.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome, man. I think it's kind of like a hybrid between the park and the pump track, and I've never really seen a park really laid out like that, so I think it would be something for everybody and all like skill levels to
Yeah, I
share,
think
so.
it's got a unique look to it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the addition of this pump track. You know, especially since it was something everyone talked about a lot. I'm definitely seeing like way more ways for all levels and all kinds of wheels to get involved in stuff. And also, I know Matt said this too, but really appreciate closing off the bowl. That mitigates some of my anxiety. So
No worries.
And also, I mean, we need to get a better feel for what we're talking about budget-wise, but as like a person that's working on the fundraising side, I mean, it's hard to raise the extra money, but I also think this is like, not to use a crass term, but like a sexier design kind of. I think it's got more more excitement, and I think that can be helpful when you're trying to raise money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no.
think that the theme that we've been trying to emphasize for some time is all skill levels, all interest, all ages, and I think the pump track actually, you know, makes that description more realistic. So in some ways, I think it could even help with fundraising.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
zero chance I'm getting on a skateboard and going into this thing, like literally zero chance. But I think I would take my little mountain bike out there and try the pump track out. I think I would.
You
the
should.
The mountain bike is like, so the pump track near my house that in San Diego that we talked about a little bit last time, it's all wheels. I mean, it's 5-year-olds on Strider bikes, and then it's Steve Caballero, and then there's pro BMX guys that come and ride there just to keep their legs going. Heaps of guys come, and I mean, one of the coolest things for me, like right now, I'm on I'm in Montana on a little bit of a snowboard trip vacation, and I live in San Diego. I didn't have a chance to get my legs warmed up. I just went to the pump track for like 2 weeks straight, like almost every other day before getting here, and my legs are 1,000%. So like the cross training applications that the pump track brings in is really cool.
Do you want to zoom in on the sort of more street park areas and get some input from? So I know Clint's here. Do we have other like? And I know Alex, you do some skating too. Do we have any like, who else is on the call that can give some input on the skating stuff?
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric. I wasn't able to make the last meeting, but I'm at this one. I'm a skateboarder.
Yeah, Matt, before you joined, we had kind of went through the street stuff, and
Oh,
you know,
okay, sorry.
yeah, and no worries. And I kind of just explained like this whole area down here, we didn't have any comments from last go around, so this basically stayed as is. And then we just kind of manipulated some of the things. The biggest one, I think, is really closing off the bowl and adding this pocket. And we kind of taken the central features that were in the middle here and connected it all together. So yeah, there wasn't a tremendous, most of the vast majority of what was discussed last go around was around the bowl and the pump track.
Sure. And I see you're putting in some of those rocks. I see 2 of them at least.
Yep. Yeah. And there's, what's that?
The gunk conglomerate.
Yeah, so we can, and I think there's a really cool way to decorate around the park, make them seating with additional rocks and kind of tie the whole thing together. Even dropping some rocks in here, just decorative rocks within the berms and stuff. I think would look really cool.
Can people sit on those berms and if it's like grass or whatever, or no?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That could be cool too. Like if let's say you're a mom or a dad that has a, 7-year-old who's got his little scooter or his little bike and is doing the pump track, you'd probably, you could sit there and keep an eye on him. It's cool.
Yeah, we even have, when we have projects where we have like a ton of export, instead of spending money to truck, crappy dirt away and then pay someone to take it, we'll actually sometimes we'll just build mounds around, and that's kind of just like an elevated grass area that mom and dad, so from where you see my cursor here, this would be like kind of an ideal location because we only have a little berming coming off here and here. Build something up and you have clear visibility into the park. You're up high enough where you can see into here. You're never going to be able to see completely into the bowl, but you get a little bit of a view of the bowl.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely something we can talk about and discuss. But yeah, any sort of elevated grass areas around the park, I think, are a good addition.
Then we have to figure out how to like integrate it with the playground and stuff too. So
Yep.
Eric, thanks for introducing yourself. What do you think of this thing,
Well,
man?
I wasn't sure if everyone could hear me before. I was trying to unmute myself.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just started talking because I didn't hear you.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, Jason, you worked with me on Middletown, New York Skate Park, like about 4 years ago.
Yeah. Well, dude, you were. Yeah. I don't recognize you without a hat.
Yeah. Well, I didn't recognize you. I just want to let you know we
Yeah,
worked
dude. Good to see you again.
that park, and I now live in Schwangunk. I'm not too far away from this park, and I wasn't able to make the last meeting, but I have some thoughts on this one. Basically, and things we learned from the Middletown Park that we kind of wish we had thought of a bit more about. And the main one is just the allowing, like, making a better place for kids to be able to learn how to skateboard. Like, I know you talked about the area over here with the straight ledge that has that looks like a flat bank and then a quarter pipe on the side.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking about like kids that are just totally brand new to skateboarding and don't know anything about it or any, biking or inline or anything. Like having to drop into something is intimidating. So I feel like one of the things we wish we did was have an kind of an area that's a little off to the side especially for kids. Like when I used to teach lessons there, and we had to close the park down to let the kids skate because they're, a lot of them have never dropped into a ramp. They want to be able to push up to a ramp or push up to a ledge. And when it's kind of like in an area where you have to drop into it, it can be a little intimidating. Mm-hmm. So I just want to bring that perspective, not to be a buzzkill with this great park design, but it's just something that I think about now more.
No, it's a totally valid point.
That's a really good point, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, it was just, it's for this park, for me, this park is really fun. And for a lot of my friends, this park would be really great. But I'm just thinking about the people that, I'm thinking 10 years, 20 years down the line, and the people that aren't even born yet that are going to use this park. And just the ability to, a skate park is intimidating when you first go to it, no matter how, how it is. That's just how it happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. And like, I really just think a flat open area for kids is kind of the best thing. A curb, just really minimal, simple things that are not high dollar items either. But even if you had an area to the right of this straight ledge that was kind of just like a more for like kids that are, really just learning, and like they're going to get in the way no matter what for this. I know you said this is a slower area here, but yeah, little kids are just going to get in the way all the time there.
Yeah.
And that's my experience. So I just wanted to bring that point up.
Yeah, no, I think we could easily fit something in here. One of the other ideas we could look at doing too would be pouring a flat pad that goes along, so you have a flat area where you can just push and turn that doesn't have bumps. So there's definitely some.
Yeah, I feel like the simple things or the basis. I'm not talking from skateboarding is like a straight ledge that you can push to and a piece of transition that you can push to with your own amount of speed. That's like kind of I feel like the most important building blocks. I had another question about the pump track too, just real quick about the pockets in there. Do they have coping on the top or is that just concrete?
It can be either. It can be whatever. It can be whatever it wants to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to have steel there because it's so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
more fun. Yeah, the
In
one
my
guy.
experience, if you get going too fast on a skateboard, it's kind of crazy in the pocket. With you don't have something. Yeah. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to bring
no, for
not to
yeah,
bring it
for
back to the track, but
no, for sure. So the one that we did in San Diego, the city said, no, this is the bike park only, so we're not doing any steel. Okay, good luck with that. And now you go out there and it's 50% bike, 50% skate, and you go to the skate park and they have all the coping and steel edging for all the edges there. They have a skate park around the corner from the pump track, and that's what they thought only skaters would go there. But yeah, so it's frustrating. Every one of the skaters complains that we don't have coping or any sort of edging around the corner there. So I feel your pain because I skate that park a lot.
okay. Just wondering.
Yeah.
So Eric, your idea is like almost like a kiddie pool for the little skaters kind of thing, like a little sort of safe area that's off to the side that's for the little kids.
Yeah, because I've just witnessed a lot of collisions and things at parks, and it's just it's better if you can kind of separate. I'm talking little kids that are just learning; they don't know how to look out for bikes and things coming from all directions. It just I don't think it adds a lot to the budget, but it's just having a flat area with some little curbs and things really adds a lot to the park to bring new people in and get them excited about it.
Yeah, one thing, even looking at this, one thing we could actually do is we could create a pad that comes off of here and then funnels around this way. And we could put like, a basic low level slappy curb and ledge on there. And
yeah, I think the back end of your just kind of like bank with the curb, the rounded thing could be cool to be able to skate that from that side. And yeah, that sounds great.
How big does that kind of area need to be in your view, Eric?
I don't know in terms of square footage, but what Jason is talking about, if you connected from those quarter pipes over to that, by that straight ledge would be probably great. It doesn't need to be huge, but that's enough area for kids to really get going there.
Yeah, I think we could definitely connect it. We could make a connection there and not have it be anything that like blows our budget or by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, like I said, it's mostly just flat, open ground. It's not. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's to keep the more advanced bikers and skaters from ripping through there, though? They just don't want to because there's nothing going.
Kind of. I mean, they'll still be able to use it, but I think it's more to keep the kids out of this other kind of run-based course. I don't think you can really make a barrier to separate them, but just having it off to the side will be, that's not going to be super interesting to people that are coming here to skate the bull and like do tricks on rails and things. They might warm up there and skate a curb or do some flat ground, but then after that, I think they're going to be off to the other side of the park.
Gotcha.
This is Tim. I just want to say that I'm really excited that Eric's here and sharing the thoughts that he's sharing. I think we've said it so many times that we really want to aspire to creating a park that makes the young families with kids and experienced skaters all feel welcome. Like the idea is that the young families with kids, like those kids will grow up in this skate park and then be the experienced skaters, and that transition should happen seamlessly. So the fact that Eric worked with Jason in Middletown. This seems like we're super lucky that you're excited about helping with this project too.
Yeah, I just want to lift up, Leslie made a comment in the chat. Leslie is a parent of a young biker and says she agrees, with this idea of an extra area or something. And thanks, Leslie, for being down to help with fundraising too.
So
I think we have another roller skater on the call too. Not to call you out, Sarah, but just want to make sure if you had any input, feel free to hop in.
The only thing that I don't exactly see that I would skate on is a half pipe. But again, I'm not a pro roller skater or anything, but personally, I know I go right to a half pipe just because I know it's a little bit safer. There's no one that's right behind me, especially when I'm skating backwards. But that's just what I can say from a have fun kind of roller skater.
Yeah, so the bowl is going to kind of provide that a lot of that opportunity. It doesn't lay out. I mean, you can see it from the top view here. It doesn't lay out like a quintessential mini ramp or half pipe. I could actually look at straightening this wall.
Okay.
And that would then create I don't know if it's the one thing you'll learn with skate park design is like it's super easy to say something, and then once you get into AutoCAD and you start moving lines around, you're like, what was I even thinking? So I could have one of my guys look at that to kind of maybe 90 that off and then create a mini ramp here, but you're still going to have, like, even if that doesn't happen, you have some different back and forth sections. Again, the whole idea of a bowl is no one's coming in behind you. The pump track, you're going to have people in front of you, you'll have people behind you, but when you're in the bowl, it should really only be you.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Because personally, my biggest fear is having someone skate right behind me, and I can't exactly see them, or I'm not looking too far behind. So, that's really my only thing is at least a little part of a half pipe or something. Sorry, my dog.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
So what I can do is I can basically at this point, I can look at turning the bowl, turn that 90, and see if we can create kind of a mini ramp section within the bowl. And then add kind of that beginner area that we were chatting about with Eric. And then from there, I can basically just go into pricing. We can start figuring out where we actually fit from a budget perspective. And then depending on where the numbers come, we can start to elect alternates. And, the whole idea with the alternates are like, if they don't happen, at no point does the park look incomplete or like it's missing something. And then it lays out the pathway for if you guys raise funds in the future and you want to add on to it, well, you've already got your CDs and everything laid out that shows exactly what needs to happen. So that's where I guess I kind of see some of the next steps. And then from there, it's just once we get that at least we get to the point where that's ironed out. When we get into construction drawings, like I said, that's when we'll really get kind of start finite in terms of modeling the different bumps and how if the pump track makes the cut, how it's going to interact with the bowl here and enabling transfer lines. So that's kind of like I'd say from a high level what our next steps are.
This all sounds really awesome to me.
Thanks.
I do feel, Jason, I feel like it's probably, I agree with all of that. And I think starting to put some numbers on this stuff is good. I think making those couple changes you talked about, I guess we should think about the pros and cons of changing that line in the bowl, but I also think we, when basically, I think we should have one more meeting like this where you are still getting sort of final feedback. And I think we should really do a thorough job of publicizing it as kind of like, hey, we're getting close to our final design. And this is, hey kids, this is your last chance to or not just kids, we don't even, they're all kids to me. This is your last chance to get, some final input. So So I think that I think when we had talked about this originally, Jason, we had talked about having sort of 3 of these meetings to kind of finalize, but I agree with you. We should go ahead and sort of start to tighten it up and that, but I also think we should have one more sort of, open public input meeting on design for final tweaks. And do you agree with that?
Yeah, Matt. So I do agree. I'd say the only tweak to that is I would want to do that 3rd meeting before. I think largely as a group we're all kind of in agreement with what's here.
Yeah.
And what I've seen happen in the past is let's say fundraising takes a year or 2 years, right? I have no idea how long it's going to take.
It's not going to take 2 years.
Yeah. So, but I'm just telling you from past experience, what I've done is I've done what you've suggested, where we get the design like to the 100%, and then the fundraising doesn't happen for a year or 2, and then we come back to the drawing board. All of a sudden, it's been a year or 2, and everyone wants to see, hey, change this, change that. There's new opinions in here. So I'm totally down to do a 3rd call. I would just want to do it when we're closer to the construction, going into construction drawings, because that's when we'll actually be doing a lot of the technical modeling.
That actually makes a ton of sense. I just went through one of these big public projects with the police station and court, so I get what you mean. I think that's advice. I think that makes sense. And just one other question since you're here. So this whole pump track seems to be getting everybody excited. Me too. Ballpark. I know you have to do your numbers with the CAD and all that, and your design. But what are we thinking it's going to cost in addition to sort of the base park? Well, like, give me a ballpark. I'm just curious.
Gonna ballpark like 125.
All right.
With New York prevailing wage, I mean, right now it's like the pricing we get from vendors and stuff on concrete is good for like 3 days, given all the stuff that's happening. So
right.
It's super hard. But
by the time we get this thing money raised, I think that hopefully some of these commodity costs will come down.
Yeah, geez, for you and me both. I'm hoping, fingers crossed.
Right. I thought that. Okay, right. I got you. Cool.
So yeah, if no one has anything else, then that's kind of my next steps. We'll start pricing, figuring out where the ballpark we're in, and we'll get everything cited and go from there.
Cool.
I had one more thing. I don't know what you guys thought about adding one feature to the bowl section. Almost like a elevated, I know you've seen it before, or what they're called, like a snow plow. It's almost like a taller bank section extension in the bowl, and you could like coming off one of those hips basically.
Hold on. Are you talking about just having a bank, having a
wedge?
Are you talking about just having like
almost
a bank similar to this?
Yeah, sort of like that, but it would be steeper, and maybe it wouldn't even be I guess it could be like a really steep bank basically, but being able to jump into that off one of the hips, would be I don't know, that would be cool to me. I don't know if there's any like right there.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking here would be an option, because we're still maintaining 2 rounded corners here. You've got the hip, or it could even be on this wall.
Yeah, it would just add a little variety in there, and it makes it some cool, at least coming from my point of view.
No, I think it's a good idea.
Fun. I don't know. It's like a fun thing.
Yeah, we can certainly look at that.
Okay, cool.
That'd be cool.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited about this project. This looks so cool. This place is gonna be so packed if if this happens. You're gonna there's like nothing to ride or skate like within a big distance from here. So this place is gonna get used for sure.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that's the hope.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, all right. I'm gonna get to work, and yeah, I should be able. I mean, the stuff we're talking about, the design changes are quick. Pricing is always like what takes a little while. So, Tim, I'll circle back with you once I get the get the pricing wrapped up, and then maybe you and I can hop on a quick call, present where we're at with numbers, and then figure out alternates and come up with what our pathway forward is.
Yeah, we'll look forward to having that next call to go over some of those details. That sounds great.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for the time. Stoked on the comments and and the feedback. I really want to see this thing get built. So exciting.
Same. Thank you, Jason. Thanks everyone for coming.
Pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thanks,
Oh, hey,
guys.
Judy.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for
Good to
coming,
see you.
Eric.
Yeah, good to see you again, Eric.
Yep, good to see you. Kind of.
Cheers, buddy.